Sarah Michelle Gellar posted 4 words that stopped the internet cold. She quoted a line from the show, a line her character Buffy says at the end of one of the most emotionally devastating episodes ever aired. "Tell Giles I figured it out and I'm okay." And then she wrote, "Well, I don't have it figured out and I'm not okay. But I know I'm the lucky one because I knew you." Anthony Head died on June 5th, 2026. He was 72 years old. The cast of Buffy the Vampire Slayer, who had been a family for nearly 30 years, lost the person who held them together. Not just on screen, in real life too. Buffy the Vampire Slayer debuted in 1997. For 7 seasons, it ran on the WB and UPN, a show about a teenage girl chosen to fight monsters that became, over time, one of the most critically analyzed, emotionally resonant, and culturally significant television dramas of its era. It launched careers, it built a fan base that has never really dispersed, it created a cast that stayed connected long after the camera stopped rolling. And at the center of that cast, not as the star, but as the anchor, was Anthony Stewart Head. He played Rupert Giles, the librarian, the Watcher, the man assigned by an ancient council to train and guide the Slayer, who became, over 7 seasons, something the council never accounted for. A father, not just to Buffy Summers on screen, by the account of nearly everyone who worked with him, to the young actors around him in real life. Head died peacefully on June 5th, 2026, surrounded by his family. His daughters Emily and Daisy confirmed the news. The cause was complications from pneumonia. He was 72 years old. Understand why this loss hit the way it did, you have to understand what Rupert Giles meant. In a show about a teenage girl navigating the apocalypse, Giles was the adult who actually showed up. Not perfectly, not without his own complications and secrets and moments of failure, but consistently, devotedly, with a love for Buffy that the show never sentimentalized but always honored. He was the person who stayed when the council fired him for caring too much, when the story sent him away. When the narrative tested whether his presence was conditional, he came back. Because Giles without Buffy was not fully Giles, and Buffy without Giles was not fully safe. The show understood something true about that relationship, that the most important adults in a young person's life are not the ones who have authority over them, but the ones who choose to stay in their corner when they don't have to. Giles chose. Every season, every crisis, every apocalypse. And Anthony Head, by the account of everyone who worked alongside him, made the same choice in real life. The tributes that followed Anthony Head's death are not generic. They are specific, personal, the kind of words that only come from people who actually knew someone. James Marsters, who played Spike, the vampire anti-hero whose arc became one of the show's most beloved, called Head the best actor in the cast. He described him as unflaggingly kind on set. Not just talented, kind, consistently, reliably, without performance. Scenario: Allison Hannigan, Willow, wrote that the cut is so deep she fears it can never heal. She used a nickname, Tonal, that speaks to the intimacy of a relationship built over years of work and friendship. David Boreanaz, Angel, remembered him as a kind and generous soul. Charisma Carpenter Cordelia highlighted his role as the off-screen father figure that so many in the cast needed. That word keeps appearing, father figure, not just the character, the person. Cast that was largely young when the show began. Teenagers and 20-somethings navigating the specific pressures of early fame, long production schedules, and the particular intensity of a show that demanded emotional vulnerability week after week, had, in Anthony Head, an adult who understood what they needed. Eliza Dushku, who played Faith, the rogue slayer whose arc through the series is one of its most complicated and emotionally rich, wrote simply, "Tony H., for every scene and time shared, give thanks. Rest in love and peace, kind sir. A dear one." Dear one, that is a language of genuine affection, of a relationship that was real. Anthony Head's career did not begin or end with Buffy. Before Sunnydale, he was a working British actor with stage and television credits, including a series of beloved Nescafe Gold Blend commercials in the UK that made him a recognizable face before American audiences knew his name. And after Buffy ended in 2003, he continued working steadily. Theater, film, television, the kind of career that speaks to someone who genuinely loves the craft rather than the celebrity. Most recently, and most significantly for a new generation of viewers, he appeared in Apple TV Plus's Ted Lasso as Rupert Mannion, the villainous owner of the rival football club. A character that was, in many ways, the inverse of Giles, charming on the surface, hollow underneath. He played it beautifully, because Anthony Head understood both sides of that equation. The genuine warmth and the performance of warmth, the difference between a person who shows up for people and a person who performs showing up. Giles was the first kind. Rupert Mannion was the second. And the fact that he could embody both convincingly completely speaks to the depth of what he brought to every role. Here is the line from Sarah Michelle Gellar's tribute that deserves its full weight. She referenced the moment in Buffy when Buffy sacrifices herself, when she leaves a message for Giles, "Tell Giles I figured it out and I'm okay," before walking toward her death. It is one of the most emotionally devastating moments in the show's 7 seasons. A daughter telling her father, through a proxy, without being able to say it directly, that she is at peace, that she understands that she is going to be okay. Gellar flipped it. She said she doesn't have it figured out, that she is not okay, but that she is the lucky one because she knew him. That reversal is everything, because in the show, Buffy says she figured it out to give Giles peace. Gellar is saying she hasn't figured it out because the person she would have said it to is gone. The grief is real. The relationship it reflects is real. 27 years after the show began, the cast has stayed, the connections have held, and Anthony Head, the actor who played the father, was apparently, in the ways that mattered, actually that. Anthony Head's death is not the first loss this cast has faced in recent years. The Buffy family has grieved before, the losses accumulate, and each one tightens the bonds between the people who remain, who shared something specific and irreplaceable in those years of making that show. There was, at the time of his death, an unmade project, a Buffy continuation or revival that had been discussed, developed in various forms, never fully realized. Whether that project continues, whether the remaining cast chooses to find a way to honor the show's legacy in some new form, is a question that belongs entirely to them. What is certain is that any version of that world without Giles would be a fundamentally different story. Because Giles was not just a character in the mythology, he was the person who made the mythology feel safe to navigate. Buffy the Vampire Slayer is a show about a young woman fighting monsters. The reason it endured, the reason people who watched it at 16 are still talking about it at 40, is not the monsters. It is the relationships, the chosen family, the people who stayed when they didn't have to. Giles stayed, season after season, crisis after crisis, apocalypse after apocalypse. He stayed because he chose to, because the love he had for the people around him was not conditional on the council's approval, or the narrative's convenience, or his own safety. Anthony Head brought that to life for 7 seasons, and then, by the account of everyone who knew him, he kept living it off screen. For the young actors who needed an adult in their corner, for the cast that became a family, the daughters who confirmed his passing with the same quiet dignity he apparently brought to everything. He was 72 years old. He died peacefully, surrounded by family. And somewhere, in every streaming library where Buffy the Vampire Slayer still lives, Rupert Giles is still in that library, still cleaning his glasses, still being quietly, completely, unfailingly present for the girl who figures things out. And for everyone watching who needed to see what that kind of love actually looks like, rest well, Giles. We haven't got it figured out either, but we're the lucky ones because we knew you. Let me know what you think.